Where's Tom Bishop? I haven't seen him in a while.
So yeah, I felt T's were crossed, I's were dotted,
Hang on a second. The last two documents in the board packet are emails, and it wouldn't let me open. No. So, if you can, that'd be great. And I meant to tell them that this morning, but I didn't think of it.
I couldn't.
Thank you.
You could either plan. Okay, I'll send them to you too.
Okay.
One of them we made me aware of, but the other one we're not.
yeah.
I got one.
How you doing, Tom?
Hey.
Long time no see. Good to see you.
Yeah. Thank you. Oops, Tom. It liked you. It was trying to follow you.
Clayton, this is regarding the, this is regarding the Business Development Center, the one
It looks like it's 6 o'clock, so we'll come to order. August 14th meeting of the Patter County Board of Supervisors. And we're going to have the invocation by Wayne Moore from High Point Baptist Church.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, you are our all-knowing, unchanging God. And Lord, we are finite and limited. And so from the least of us, even to the greatest of us, Lord, we need your direction and purpose. So Lord, I pray that you will guide this body of men and women to through the decisions that need to be made, Lord, all the opinions and the options and all the information that comes to them through experts and through the input of the people they represent. Lord, bring them to the best decision that will be for the greatest good of the most people. And Father, of course, we are so thankful for all that you do for us, that you provide for us and protect us. And Lord, we thank you for those who serve us in the same way. We pray for your blessings on our government leaders and on our business owners and our law enforcement, fire and rescue, and of course our military. And Lord, we just pray that you would bless and direct their lives as well. Father, for all these things and more, we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Moore. Have the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Perry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll have a moment of silence in recognition of the U.S. military serving here and abroad and all public safety workers. Thank you. Amendments to the agenda.
Yes, sir, there are several. This is kind of a moving target for agenda. Under new business, we need to add consideration of a request from social services for additional funding. That should be under new business. Under old business, under the administrator's report, I wanted you to take action on one item, and I've given you that. It's the IRF grant for professional services for an uptown project. So I'll introduce that and we'll discuss, and then we'll need action coming out to approve that if you're so inclined. Under closed session, we do not need the Smith River appointment for the Economic Development Authority. We actually made that last month, so it's early. So we can remove that from closed session. And finally, from closed session, we can remove the acquisition or disposition of real estate. We pulled that item administratively. We'll bring that to you another time.
Okay, well, if everybody's had a chance to look at the meeting minutes, we need an approval for that.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Got a second?
Aye.
Aye.
And aye.
And I vote aye also. And we'll need a motion for approval of the bills, claims, and appropriations unless anybody's got any questions.
I'll make that motion.
A motion?
Second.
A second? Call for a vote?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye also. And the next thing we had on the agenda is the introduction of the new personnel. Mr. Charles Drake.
Good afternoon. Pleasure to be here to meet everybody. My name is Charles Drake, and I am the new grant writer for Patrick County. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm born and raised from Davidson County, Lexington, North Carolina. But we have been property owners in Patrick County for 32 years, and I'm proud to say that I finally made it my new home. And I was lucky enough to receive employment for the county here, which is great. I did my previous employment consists of worked for 10 years for Rowan County in North Carolina, and I was the finance manager and assistant health director, and also the interim health director when COVID hit. And that was exciting.
And you survived.
Yeah, well, you see that I'm here and not there. But I was over financial management and on many of the grant management teams, reporting and implementation and all that. We had two really big hitter grants that we achieved, and one was called PORT, Post Overdose Response Team, and it was a $285,000 grant from Blue Cross Blue Shield for recovery and addiction to help folks out. And as you know, it only got worse after COVID or during COVID. And then we also had another great one that we had was about $250,000 for a mobile bus, dental bus clinic. That we actually had a dental clinic in our health department. We wanted to go out to the school system to serve children who never made it to the dentist at no cost to them. But just a few of the things that were really good that we got to achieve. We had others, but those were the greatest. And
Welcome.
We're looking forward to you bringing some of that outside money to Patrick County.
exactly, every dollar we can receive from a grant is a dollar that can be spent somewhere else in the community.
That's right.
Just to refresh your memories, Mr. Drake is the employee that we're sharing with the school system, 50-50. He works out of their building, and we'll pay our half of the freight, and we're hopeful that he pays for himself. I want to bring perfect.
Exactly.
We're excited to have him with us, and I know Dr. Jason was very happy to have him as well. So we hope to work in concert to make good things happen.
Thank you.
All right, thank
so
you.
much. Glad to have
Welcome.
you. Next, we got Mr. Patrick Cooper, He'll be the new EDA director of Patrick County.
Good evening. Good evening, Patrick Cooper, recently hired on as the Director for Economic Development for the County of Patrick. Previous positions, I came from a federal employment status with the Virginia Army National Guard, where I oversaw all things logistics for the Virginia Army National Guard, including the food service program, clothing program, material management, bulk fuel, and receiving turn-in and issue point. Prior to that, I was involved in security, both for the Virginia Army National Guard, and a few years prior to that, I was a Richmond City police officer. I'm originally from New York, went to school in Vermont to Norwich University, commissioned into the into the Army National Guard in 2012, been serving ever since. And I recently moved into the area from Richmond, where I was previously employed with my wife, Brandy, and 2 children. And just really excited to be a part of the community. Thank you.
We're excited to have
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for your service.
Patrick's a gentleman that started last Monday. I told him if he made it to Tuesday, I would consider it a good thing, because we hit him with a fire hose of information every day last week. Dang if he didn't keep coming back, so it's a good sign.
A good
very,
thing.
very bright man, looking forward to working with him. He's hit the ground running very well, and I think good things are coming from him.
Good. All right, next thing we got on the agenda is public comment period. Was there anybody else that didn't get to sign up that wanted to speak or anything?
Do we want to do the public hearing first?
Oh, okay, all right. Let me back up here. And I missed that one. That's the public hearing on the school board. Let's see if I can find it. This agenda is something tonight.
It should be on the original agenda, but yeah.
I've lost that one.
You need to see my computer.
All right. The public hearing, Patrick County Board of Supervisors hold a public hearing Monday, August 14th, 6 p.m. to hear comment on amending the fiscal year 23-24 budget with an increase of $2,269,774.51 for Patrick County Public Schools as follows. Revenue 22-23 carryover grant funds, $1,695,000, $210.80. All those long numbers don't register in my mind. And then 2023 grant received in 23-24, $274,563.71. And then the 1% additional retail tax and sales tax and use tax, $300,000. All right, I guess that's what we need on it. All right. I'm trying to find my original. I had an original copy somewhere. All right, how do we need to go with the hearing? Do we have any more information or?
Well, the expenditures were on there also that they spent the money on.
Expenditures?
Yeah, for the ESSER funds.
That may help a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot better. And also, with that, they had expenditures, if I can pronounce this, CRRSA ESSER the second, HIVAC, $1,695,210.80. IDEA Homeless and Youth Instruction, $274,563.71, and capital projects, $300,000. All right. What, we need to take action on that. We need, anybody comment on it? Or?
Public hearing, and if there's no comments, then you just close it, take action as you see fit.
Okay, nobody here from the school board?
No one's signed up.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll entertain a motion then.
Need to close it. Yeah.
So
make a motion.
do we have
to
any
close.
more specifics about those expenditures, like specifically what's, and so it looks like a lot of this is covered by grants.
all of it's grants.
That's all right.
So everything's grant funded and it's not,
Except for the retail sales and use tax, which they get every year, but everything else is just accepting grant funding is what this is about.
okay. Thank you.
Need to take action.
Yeah. Well, I think you need to close the session.
The public hearing.
Close the public hearing. Okay. All right, we'll close the public hearing on that. We don't have any more comments or any more information, and then we'll take a motion to accept it.
I'll make a motion that we accept it as listed.
Got a motion?
I'll
A
second.
second. Ms. Simmons?
Aye.
Aye.
And I.
And I vote aye also. All right. Now we can go into public comment period. Do we have anybody else that want to speak that doesn't sign up or anything? If not, I've got, the first one I've got is Lisa Allen from Peters Creek on no installation of internet and phone.
You ready for me?
Uh-huh.
Nice to see all y'all this evening. I just wanted you to know who I was. I teach Patrick County school music to all the Head Start through third grade students at all the schools. So I have about 677 students and I enjoy my job very much. This is my fourth fall with Patrick County Schools. And I had vacationed here in Patrick County for 20 years. My parents moved here and built a home in 2002. When the pandemic began, I was thrilled to have the opportunity to build a home on the land they had given me 20 years prior. So I contacted Silver Point Builders and we built a home, which we got the certificate of occupancy on August the 1st, 2021. I immediately called, at that point it was CenturyLink, and made an appointment for them to come for installation. So they came to the property and they measured the distance of my home from my parents and concluded that it was 1,400 feet and that was against their rule of 1,000 feet. Now, they had emailed me the contract for installation and I had signed it and returned the email, and I have the fine print from that. And I wanted to read just a little bit of fine print for you from that moment. They said, in limited circumstances, the construction charges may exceed these amounts for reasons like extensive work is required or your premises are a significant distance from our network. Before starting work, we will assess the property, review charges with you for approval, and we may cancel with no further obligation. And that's exactly what CenturyLink did. So I had built a brand new home in my favorite place in the world, and we did not have a phone, and we did not have internet. During that period of time, I had also signed up to start a master's program online with Radford University for educational leadership. So I have lived in my home for over 2 years, and I've earned an entire master's degree and completed it in educational leadership without internet at my house. There were times whenever the school system would cancel school due to snow, and I wouldn't even get the automated call. I would show up for work on time. So my appeal is, can we please have infrastructure in our county so that I can have internet and a cell phone? Well, my cell phone doesn't work, by the way, at my house either. But I need a landline and I need internet at my house. And my address was 1354 Old Orchard Loop, and it was changed when the third house was built, so my parents were able to name their street Knollwood Trail. And so now my new address is in Peters Creek District, and it's 126 Knollwood Trail. So anything you guys can do to help me with that, I would really appreciate it, because I don't ever plan to leave this district or this county. I love it, and I have built my forever home. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll add that she's absolutely the bestest best music teacher ever, and all the kids think 10 worlds of her. She's amazing, and we're glad to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the next one, we got Mr. Jamie Clark, Peters Creek, about Brightspeed.
My name's Jamie Clark from the Peters Creek District. I'm here tonight to address the board with concerns about the local telephone provider Brightspeed. I currently do not have their horrible service, but my mother, who lives next door to me, is a subscriber. She has a heart pacemaker and other chronic health problems. During the last 6 weeks, she's had to deal with her telephone being out of service over 10 different times. Sometimes the phone will be out for a few hours, other times several days. I've reported these outages, and once she had to wait over a week to get service restored. When the technician arrived at her house, my wife happened to be there, and she spoke to the technician, and so did I. I told him that I'd already checked for a dial tone on the box on the side of her house, and there was no dial tone coming into the house. He said the problem was inside of her house with a wiring issue, and I assured him that no one had touched her phone wiring in years. So he said that it was a problem inside of her home, and maybe she needed a new phone. So my mother went and purchased a new phone. Guess what? Still no phone service. When her phone finally come back on, she talked to friends that experienced an outage during the same time. So I don't think her old phone was ever the problem. As I previously mentioned, my mother has a pacemaker, and if you know anyone that has a pacemaker, their device is monitored by their doctor daily. Today's pacemakers have the ability to send a Bluetooth signal to a device in your house on your phone that sends the information about your heart to your doctor's office. Normally, this is done by a device by your bedside, and it uses a telephone line to send the information to your doctor. Another option is for the device to use a cell phone to send this information to your doctor's office. Well, we all know there's lots of places in Patrick County that have no cell phone service, so this option is not available to a large number of county residents that have pacemakers or other implanted medical devices. It's amazing that the technology in this world has gotten to this point that we have these wonderful medical and technological advances and devices, but yet here in Patrick County, we can't get basic telephone service that will allow them to work as designed. Today, our county citizens have access to life-saving tools like Life Alert, the device that you wear around your neck, and you can push a button for help when you fall. We have a home burglary system or fire alarm systems with smoke detectors. All these systems were designed to save life and property. However, they are designed to work with a home telephone line that summons help when the emergency arises. Without a working telephone system, these systems are useless. Imagine your family member laying on the floor of their home after falling and breaking a hip in the middle of the night. They press their Life Alert button and nothing happens because their phone is out of order. As a former paramedic, I answered a call for help one Sunday morning at 7 a.m. for a woman who had fallen in her bathroom in the floor at 11:30 the night before. She laid in that floor all night in pain, but she knew it was nighttime, and she didn't want to call us until daylight because she knew we were all volunteers and didn't want to bother us while we were sleeping. Do you know how everyone felt on that call when she told us that she'd been laying on the floor all night long? She had a working phone line that night. Just imagine if she didn't. When you live alone, your telephone is literally your lifeline. I haven't talked even talked about why our homes don't have reliable internet service. The reason I left the phone internet, my wife was unable to connect to her work computer because the speed was so low and unreliable. After I went 21 days without home internet service, I decided to switch to Comcast. Luckily, I live in a location where that service is now offered, but my neighbors don't have that luxury, as I'm the last house on our road to have Comcast service. It is apparent that Brightspeed is not concerned about the working condition or reliability of their equipment. Just take a drive down Route 8 South past the high school and count the number of trees that have fallen over laying on phone lines and how many phone pedestals are uncovered or laying on their sides across Patrick County. As a board member, you're aware that a public utility has to have a franchise agreement to operate in this county. I think that the board needs to review that agreement and make a decision if you want to revoke that agreement and see if there are any other options for county residents to have reliable phone service, because it can be a matter of life and death for your citizens. You can't call 911 during an emergency if your telephone doesn't work. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Next, we got Mr. Tom Bishop, Dan River District, telephone issues.
I've had numerous internet and telephone problems recently, and you nudge your neighbor to find out what's going on. It's not easy to find out why you don't have telephone service or internet service. My main thing that I want to talk about is my neighbor's telephone line. From the box near the street, paved street, there's an orange wire laying on top of the ground, running up to the person's house. It's been there for several weeks. So apparently there's no urgency to put that underground. I don't know what the deal is. So when I go to mow the grass, I have to be very careful that I don't mow that cord up. So I don't know what's going on. I think it's a long time that they should have put that cable in the ground. And again, that's in my neighborhood, 30 Millwood Trail. Address is Stewart, but I'm 9 miles from Stewart.
What was the name of that street again, Tom? Address?
Well, you come in on Old Orchard Loop, and then there's a blue sign for an Old Wood Trail.
No wood.
Just 3 homes on that road.
Is that the same one? All right, that's all we have for public comments. Mr. Simmons, you got any questions or comments?
I don't.
Mr. Lowe?
No, I'm very sorry we're not getting better service. I appreciate you sharing with us.
I was contacted twice with the same issues, telephone lines across the road, hanging in trees, very similar to the pictures. This was actually today I was contacted, so it's just constant, and this shouldn't be allowed. I mean, if people don't have self-service, like Mr. Clark said, that's a big issue. What's going to happen when somebody dies? They going to get to sue Brightspeed? It's a big issue. It's very concerning.
Mr. Perry?
Everything's been said. I've got a temporary cable from the box to my house for my phone as well. So
How long?
Going on 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah, it's time level's up.
Well, we've got a representative from Brightspeed here tonight, Mr. Strider. He'll speak out a while on some of the stuff and answer some of the questions. And he's a supervisor with Brightspeed. I've met him down near the Pole Bridge section that we got all this stuff started on, and they did take care of that down there. They remedied it pretty quick, and on a Saturday, it's just a shame that we had to go through all this to get it started. But it is a lot of stuff. I rode around with him on the lower end of the county and back up into the Peters Creek about 4 hours, and we documented a lot of stuff like that. It's one orange line down in that area that's been on top of the ground for 2 years, and Mr. Schrader told me, he said it's a bad cable in the ground, but he's working on trying to get a lot of that stuff done. And he'll talk to us after a while, and he'll have some contact information where everybody can contact him. And I'm still getting complaints too. I got one yesterday, and the fella may actually be here from up in the Dry Pond area, so it's a widespread thing. All right, we'll close the public comment period then. The next thing, we got new business. You want to do the Department of Social Services first? Let's do that then. And Ms. Joan Rogers, you still here?
Good evening. Everyone should have received a letter from Judge Belangi, our juvenile judge, and also a letter from me stating the dire situation we are currently in within the child welfare unit. Have all of you read the letters?
I just got mine today. A few minutes ago.
Haven't you a letter from the judge?
I haven't got the letter from the judge. I got your letter, not the judge's.
You can go ahead
Okay.
and explain everything to her.
Patrick County Department of Social Services has seen an increase in both child protective services and foster care cases over the past several years. In the past, we always averaged around 12 children in foster care with 2 foster care workers. Now we have 42 children in foster care, and we still only have 2 foster care workers. This comes out to 21 children per worker. In 2019, the General Assembly established a caseload standard, and this is under Virginia Code Section 63.2-913-1. And it establishes a caseload standard limiting the number of foster care cases per worker. Please keep in mind that the caseload size has a significant impact on achieving permanency for foster children. Not only do unmanageable caseloads impact foster care cases directly, they also significantly affect the foster care worker with retention and their emotional well-being. The current standard is 15 foster care cases maximum per worker. In Patrick, we currently have 21 cases per worker. Earlier this year, I did meet with the Budget Committee and asked for additional funds for an additional family services specialist for foster care and a supervisor. I did warn of the potential chargebacks to this county due to the inability of the foster care workers in meeting all the required mandates. You have been given the foster care mandate timelines that foster care workers must meet. And it's not only on the front page, but on the flip side. So I'm hoping that you'll put yourself in a position and look at everything that's required. Would you be able to do that with 21 foster care cases? It is an impossible task for a worker with 21 cases to be able to meet all timelines. These timelines are by the federal and state government. Federal dollars that we can draw down to pay for foster care room and board, daycare, and other items for foster children, these timelines must be met so we can draw down the funds. A loss of these federal dollars means the cost is shifted to the county within the CSA program. Currently, it costs the county, the match rate for CSA is 25%. I'm seeing a significant increase in CSA payments. The cost of the counties, you all are going to be seeing a greater increase. In my letter to you, I did state some of the current chargebacks that we have because of the inability of workers to meet these time frames. Those chargebacks that I have figured, it's $18,865. These chargebacks are taken out of general funds. I want you to be aware that the surrounding communities that are comparable to Patrick County, their foster care staff is meeting the standards. For example, Giles has 14 children in foster care and they have 2 foster care workers. Galax has 43 children in foster care. They have 3 workers plus an aide. Grayson has 16 children in care with 2 workers. Patrick has 42 children with only 2 workers. We are not meeting the standards set by the General Assembly. What I'm asking for the Board of Supervisors tonight is to provide funds for an additional foster care worker and for a human services aide. The cost to the county for a family services worker is $37,484. The cost for a human services aide is $28,168. These costs, by far, is probably more cost-effective than potential chargebacks to the county because we're not meeting mandates. And I can't fault the workers because they can't keep up. It's an impossible task. What worries me also is even with an additional foster care worker, we could exceed, if we added another worker, we could exceed that 15 maximum caseload within the next several months. We're in trouble. We cannot keep up with the increases and the demands. The liability, I feel, is very strong for this county if something should happen to a foster care child or a child within our county. It just greatly worries me. You know, I have been in child welfare since 1974. Most of that time was spent in foster care, doing foster care services, either as a worker or a supervisor. I have never seen such violence and such disturbed children that we're dealing with now. That takes a toll on the workers also. You know, I am asking the board to please increase our budget so we can at least hire one more family services specialist for the foster care unit and a human services aide, which would be a great help to the unit. They could do the visits, they could do the purchase orders, to free up the workers' time to deal mostly with foster children and with their parents. I feel I cannot fix this problem without your help. I know I can't fix it. Do any of you have any questions?
I do. I just read an article this week about Tazewell County going through the same problems we are in the sense of foster care has increased so much. Has there been an effort to talk to state officials about the problem?
Oh yes, they're very well aware. I mean, this is not only in the Commonwealth of Virginia, it is nationwide. My staff, we have even had to watch a foster child for a whole weekend because we couldn't find a placement. I mean, workers are staying with these children in the offices. That's a big liability. Some agencies have gone to purchasing a home so that workers can stay in this home if we can't find placements. I mean, yeah, it's a dire situation throughout the country, not only here.
I think what Mr. Loesch is asking is, have you asked for any help from the state? Is it any way that...
Oh, yeah. Well, I have asked the state to come in and take over. That's how desperate we are. My answer was that there'll be charged to the county if we have to do that.
Do your other workers have are there special certifications for foster care?
Yes, workers? Yes. It takes.
So not all your staff has that certification?
No, they have to take, there's extensive training. It takes about 2 years to complete the training to be a foster care worker, as well as a child protective services worker. So no, you can't cross-train. You can't.
So nobody can...
And then once we get them trained, they usually go elsewhere for better pay. We train them well.
got I've got about 3 or 4 different letters. One of them says 39 children. The other one says 41.
Yeah, well, like 1 week we got 2 weeks ago we got 2 additional children. Last week, 1 more child. Today, we were teetering on the edge of 2 more children. Thank goodness we found a relative. And we do search out relatives before they come into foster care.
It doesn't look like any fast solution to it. Even if we approve to give you the 2 workers and it takes 2 years to train them, what are you going to do in 2 years? Or for 2 years?
Mr. Kendrick, that's a big question. I mean, I can't answer that because they will be in training. But if we don't get the workers, you're going to lose total federal dollars, and the cost is going to go to the county.
And in situations to where you say that they have to stay with the child or look after the child because there's no foster care, I mean, no amount of help we give will actually fix that, right? I mean, because that's something that you can't help, we can't help.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And yet, look at the liability. I mean, yeah, sometimes we can't, like if a child comes, if it's a teenager, they come into care Friday, residentials aren't going to take them that day. It takes hours just to fill out the paperwork. So then the workers end up staying with a child that probably has mental health issues, could be violent.
For myself, I really don't see how we can get around giving you these 2 positions. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
We really need to do something.
Mr. Perry, you got?
I'm still not clear on, so do you have any of your current family service specialists that are looking to get this certification for foster care?
The workers that I have now left. They got, enough was enough. They have left. So I have to start all over again.
So even, you still have positions open that need to be filled?
Yes, sir.
All right. And some of these potential chargebacks that you mentioned in your letter, they don't appear to be something that a family services specialist could handle. A foster home certification that expired over a year ago.
Mm-hmm. That's the foster care worker's responsibility. I don't have enough.
So the foster care worker certifies these homes? It's not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you for clarifying that. And then this group home that hasn't received a payment in over a year, whose responsibility is that to see that this payment's been made?
The foster care worker and the supervisor should have been well aware of that issue.
And they're doing budgeting and paying these bills?
Yes, sir, they're doing it all. That's the problem. They can't.
I don't see if there's any way around it. I mean, if we have to follow the code and the minimum is 15 max per worker, and we're working 21, I don't see any way around it either, Clyde.
But if it takes 2 years to get this certification, they're still 2 years away.
Right.
They're still doing the work under close supervision.
One of these letters said something about after August the 4th, you'd only have 1 worker. What does that mean?
One went on leave.
Is that what it is? So you got 1 going out on leave. One of these letters.
Okay, I have one worker that is out on FML right now, but she's not a foster care worker, she's a prevention worker. But currently, and I have 1 foster care worker that is on sick leave right now, so she's not in the office. So yes, I have 1 vacancy for foster care and 1 supervisor vacancy in foster care.
So there's 2 vacancies that need to be filled even before we add these positions, is that?
Yes, sir.
And you're having a problem finding those too?
Well, I am, oh yeah, it takes, people don't want to work in child welfare. Can you blame them?
People don't want to work anywhere anymore.
I mean, it's a dangerous job. We don't carry guns, but we go into homes where they're using meth, cocaine, fentanyl. This is what we're up against day in and day out, domestic violence. We have a mother in the burn unit right now that we're working with. I mean, severe domestic violence. Children are witnessing all of this. The drug problem that we have in this county. I could go on and I mean, and the wear and tear, the emotional impact on the workers, they probably all have post-traumatic stress due to what they're up against day in and day out going into these homes and working with these families. And yet you never hear people say, wow, social workers in child welfare are frontline workers. We're never recognized. And yet we are on the front lines. During COVID, we were still making those home visits. We were still providing services. That didn't stop for us. I'm very passionate for child welfare. I think we need to protect our children in our community from child abuse and neglect. A very important job. And if we don't do that, you're going to have more little psychopaths running around, more adults committing crimes, and your jails are going to be overcrowded. They're already overcrowded. And most of those people in jail, if you look back at their family history, it's child abuse and neglect. Whether it's physical, sexual, it is there. So that's why child welfare is so very important, that we stop it before it gets to that point. And I guess that's what's kept me in this system.
Let me ask you this. Since you've been down on staff for most of the year, don't you have
for several years?
Okay, don't you have some money left over that you're not paying because they're not there?
Yes, and those funds went back to the county. At the end of our fiscal year, if we haven't spent the allocation that the Board of Supervisors has given us, that goes back into the general funds. I'm trying to manage the funds and be a good fiscal manager to the county. And yeah, those funds are returned to the county. I can't keep those funds.
Right, but I mean, since January, I guess what I'm getting at is, could we okay the human services aid tonight and then wait and see if you can hire for the vacancy you have and do the human services aid? Then we can.
Lori looks like she wants to say something.
Yeah.
You okay?
I was just going to mention where she says it's the funds returned to the county. It's like any other budgeted line that's not spent.
Right.
It's just not spent. It's not. She doesn't get the money from the state, and
Right.
it sits in our account. It's
Okay.
under reimbursement type.
Thank you.
I'd be comfortable doing the aid and waiting to see if we get their positions filled and then reevaluate, I guess.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too. Once she's at 100%, her personnel's up to 100%, then I think come back and let's reevaluate and see what we've got there. And it sounds like, and call me crazy if we start to think out the box here. So how many family service specialists, not the foster care, but just the family service specialist, how many positions do you have available currently for a family service specialist?
Okay, I have 2 for foster care, 2 for child protective services, 1 for adult protective services, 2 for prevention.
And kind of what I was thinking, if we have a family services specialist, rather than, what kind of bonus could we bait the carrot with to go into foster care? I mean, that's something that would take some looking into to see what we can do to encourage and motivate people to go that route and fill these positions. Just a thought, but that's where, so once you're at 100% staff, we can go back and revisit things and maybe have your board go back and look to see what can be done to give that carrot to encourage people to do the foster piece and to get that certification.
Okay, do you want a motion?
Yeah, can we get a motion on that?
Yeah, I would make the motion that we okay the human services aid at this point, and then when other vacancies have been done, we will revisit the other question.
When
they've been filled, sorry.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second.
Aye.
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 Aye. And I vote aye also. Aye also.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Get some of these letters out of the way now. Next on new business, we had Sandra Stone, Treasurer, year-end report.
Good afternoon. It's that time of year again. So this is a report for how we came at the end of June 30th. So you should have gotten, and I'm sure Lori put those in your packet, all the different fund balance sheets and everything. So the trial balance shows the account balances at the end of June, shows the bank account balances at the top. The individual fund account balances are listed below the bank balances. Our net general county fund balance that we carried forward was $11,561,672. That was an increase of a little over $2 million from our last fiscal year. Our carryover balance comes from different sources, department budgets, unspent funds, some of what you just discussed, revenues received, some of them are higher than budgeted, excuse me, and some of the unspent carryover funds from previous year and also grants can make a difference in that as well. Carryover funds are needed and used during the lower revenue months. Usually these months are August to October and February to April. Our contingency fund balance came forward at $165,562, and the interest that we earned on our investments was $335,052. That was an increase of $317,668 from last year. So that kind of gives you, from where our interest rates were nothing to we have made a little bit of progress. So that has helped tremendously the last fiscal year, and hopefully that continues this year as well. We had some new funds that were set up this fiscal year. We had the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund, or LATCF, the National Opioid Settlement Disbursements, and the State School Construction Grant Fund, which that was opened and also closed within the same year. Delinquent tax lists have been completed. There are copies in my office, and they're also in the County Administration office and are available to you at any time. As always, if you want that to be listed in the newspaper, we can do that, but I don't think y'all have done that since I've been treasurer. And we would have to delete bankruptcies and that sort of thing before it could go to publication. That's at your discretion. Percentages of our tax collections as of June 30th. I'll start with our 2021 personal property. We were at 98.92%. Our 22 personal property is at 96.19. Our 20 real estate is 99.8. Our 21 real estate at 99.32. 22 real estate at 97.53, and our 23 real estate for the first half at 91.57%. So I want to commend my office, my staff. They do a great job. I appreciate every one of them, and I'm very blessed and fortunate to have them. Delinquent taxes are collected daily. Methods of collection that we do are DMV stops, debt set-off, tax interception, wage liens, bank liens, treasurer administrative summons, real estate and land sales, and of course we do monthly payment agreements. And I think that pretty well sums it up, unless y'all have some questions.
Any question?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sandra. And next, we had Cindy Kendrick. I don't know what part of these abbreviations are, but CORE, I'll let you tell them.
Good evening. I come every August, and I have better news today than I had last August when we come to you. It appears that our vehicle values have stabilized for this year. J.D. Powers told us to expect an average of 10% reduction. I think that's pretty fair to say that's what we've seen. Pickup trucks seen a larger reduction, but they were hit with a bigger increase last year. So most people are going to see a little decrease in their personal property bill. But just for
Did you
your
say that again?
most of them are going to see a reduction.
So everybody can hear.
Yeah.
But one thing to keep in mind before everybody gets too excited is last year we didn't have a vehicle license fee. So some people, especially that had a vehicle maybe 15 years older, they didn't have to pay a VLF fee. Their tax was maybe $20. That's all they paid. This year their bill may be $18, but they're going to have a $25 VLF fee on there. So they're going to pay a little more, and for some, just so if you're asked for that. But what I'm here tonight for is to set the PPTRA tax relief. It's the no car tax. We set it every August. We get a little over $688,000 from the state. We have to divide that evenly amongst all taxpayers that have personal use vehicles. It does go down every year because as vehicles cost more, we have to spread the pot a little thinner. Last year, we've seen a big decrease of over 7% in that. I'm grateful to say this year we're going to be about a little under a 1% decrease from last year, so people will get a very similar credit that they got last year. So what I need from you all tonight is if you all will pass a vote to pass the resolution to set the PPTRA percentage at 30.5. This year it'll give me a little bit if I have to change it a little tenth before we get the book finished. But if you all will pass that tonight, we'll try to finish up the personal property book and get that to the treasurer by the end of August.
I'll make a motion, we set it at 30.5.
Got a motion? Second. Call for a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And aye. And I vote aye also.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Cindy. Thank you. Dana here?
I haven't seen it.
So either. Had a Dana Bobbitt, Commissioner Rupp, Commonwealth Attorney, I'll get it right in a minute. ARPA request for repairs. You got
She's not here, but I can talk to her request. We met with her several weeks ago, Tim and Donna, Mr. Cheney, myself, and the director of the CAC, and Dana. And recall they had some flooding in April that wiped out the bottom floor. You had already approved $5,000 in ARPA funds to pay toward an awning to help divert the water so they don't have that backup anymore. Mr. Cheney got several quotes, or got a quote on an awning, two awnings for the two entrances. No one else would quote him, and that's in your packet as well, $700. They need to replace the flooring that was damaged with the water, and they're also requesting a commercial dehumidifier to help avert any more moisture that could get down there. They have a lot of expensive recording equipment that they want to protect. We did get an insurance check in just today to help cover some of these costs to the tune of $49.54. And with the approved $5,000 already, we're asking for another $52.64 in ARPA funds to help close the project and let her get it taken care of.
When does she need to know this by?
As soon as possible, because it's going to take several weeks to get the equipment, the flooring to be put in. I think is on a 5 or 6 week timeline. And the awnings, we want to get those as soon as we can. I'm sure there'll be more rainstorms.
I wondered if the awnings, the EDA's got a grant thing for, what do they call it, facades, F-A-C-A-D-E?
Facades.
Wonder if that would fall into that.
I'm not sure it applies to nonprofits or government entities. It's not within the regs. And I don't want to do that, but that may be something we could ask the EPA to consider. But I think there's an urgency on the awnings. We cleaned the drain out a couple of times, and that seems to have helped. But the awnings will keep the rain out, plus leaves pile up. Sometimes there are things done in that stairwell that probably aren't appropriate, and some debris is left behind. That tends to stop it up occasionally.
Is the mold taken care of?
We think so. We think there's been work toward that. And
Dehumidifiers needed bad then.
yeah, I think these are, from staff's perspective, these are necessary repairs, and probably the sooner we can get to them, the better it's going to be.
Can we have time to check with the EDA maybe and see if there's anything there? And is it any kind of insurance or anything we got in those bills?
We got the insurance. We got a total of $9,000 in insurance. Some of it was to pay for the cleanup work that had to be done immediately that weekend, and then the rest toward the flooring.
What do y'all think?
The EDA won't meet again until middle of September.
I'd like to see it done. I'd like to make a motion that we approve this.
All right, if she makes the motion, I'll second.
Okay.
I don't want my name in the paper for all of these. Spending all this stuff.
We got a motion and a second. Call the vote, Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Aye.
And aye.
And I wish we could wait a little bit longer, but I'll vote aye.
It's ARPA funds, so that's,
Yeah.
and it's a safety issue and a health issue, so that's needed.
And let's see, I believe I saw Ricky Walker back there somewhere a while ago. Next thing we got then is Anchor Commission resolution. Do you want to speak on that, or does he need to?
That's a board, I'll be happy to speak about it if you'd like to.
Go ahead, so everybody will know what it is.
Board. I just wanted to let you know I appreciate the support that we've always gotten from the Patrick County Board of Supervisors. For those of you that don't know, I'm the Executive Director of the Anchor Commission. We run the group home and shelter care for boys. It's located in Martinsville, but it serves Patrick County as well. The resolution tonight is something that the Department of Juvenile Justice had requested. Every so many years, they want a restating of the commitment Patrick County has to support the group home and shelter care concept. And we get most of our funding, and in fact, over 2/3 of it, we get from the state. And what allows us to get from the state is that maintenance of effort, which is basically a match that we get from Patrick County, Henry County, and the city of Martinsville. And without that maintenance of effort and that support from Patrick County, we won't be able to get the funding from the state. Just to give you an idea, we get $228,798 from the state, and Patrick County's contribution toward that maintenance of effort is like $14,000. It may be $16,000 now. I'm slipping in my old age. But I just wanted to give you, that's what this resolution is all about. It's just Patrick County Board of Supervisors stating that we do support this, and we will continue to support this, and that you support that the city of Martinsville, since that's where we're located, is the fiscal agent for our VJCCA plan. And that stands for Virginia Juvenile Community Crime Control Act. And yes, it did take me a while to memorize it. But that is something that's been around since 1996, and it's a very good program. And for any of you that have never been there, I welcome you to call and come and tour the facility anytime you'd like to.
I've been down there, it's been a couple of years, but it's a good thing. All right, we need to make a motion on that, I guess.
Do you want me to read the resolution?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
All right.
Before we make a motion.
All right, whereas the Anchor Commission is a collaborative partner that supports youth and families and works to provide supervision and services to keep youth out of detention and with their families, and while remaining in our community, and the Virginia Juvenile Community Crime Control Act is a major funder of the programs offered by the Anchor Commission. And whereas be it resolved that the County of Patrick Board of Supervisors will participate in the Virginia Juvenile Community Crime Control Act and accept funds appropriate for the purpose set forth in this act until it notifies the Department of Juvenile Justice in writing that it no longer wishes to participate. And may it be further resolved that the County of Patrick will combine with the governing bodies of the City of Martinsville and the County of Henry. The City of Martinsville will act as fiscal agent for these localities. And may it also be resolved that the Martinsville City Manager is hereby authorized to execute a local plan on behalf of the County of Patrick. And I've lost the rest of it. Wait a minute. My computer's... Sorry. Here we go. Therefore, I, Clayton Kendrick, you, Chairman of the County of Patrick Board of Supervisors, Virginia, do hereby ordain and declare the County of Patrick's support and urges our citizens to join with me in recognizing the value and importance of the Anchor Commission's services that they bring to our community. That's it.
Thank you for reading it, Clyde. I didn't set my computer up and didn't have a printed copy. All right, we get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Got a second?
Aye.
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 And I vote aye also. Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we got Dr. Greg Hodges. I think I saw him.
Yeah,
There
he's
he
out
is.
there.
Patrick County Community College, provide an update.
I have something, may I provide you all?
Yes. Hey, Greg. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Great to see you, sir. Thank you. Good evening, friends. My name is Greg Hodges. I have the great pleasure of serving as the president of Patrick and Henry Community College, and I am here tonight to provide you what I hope will be an annual report about the work of Patrick and Henry Community College in serving the citizens of Patrick County. I have 3 buckets that I would like to talk to you about tonight. Of the 2 folders that I gave you, there is a paper insert inside the first one. That's what I'm going to be referencing. I encourage you to pull that out as I walk through some of these points tonight. I want to start by letting you know that the mission of Patrick and Henry Community College is singular. We have one reason that we open the doors every morning, and that is the economic mobility of the citizens that we serve. We have one way of changing folks' economic mobility, and that's by educating and training them for good-paying jobs with family-sustaining wages right here in the communities that we serve. And so to that end, we always say that whether students are with us for 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years, regardless of whatever credential they're earning, they are there to get the JOB degree. Everything we do is about them earning a JOB degree. So the 3 buckets that I want us to look at tonight are, very quickly, I'll give you a quick overview of some data points for the college as a whole for the just concluded year, some ways that we are serving Patrick County in the last couple of years, and then on the back we'll talk just a little bit briefly about the Patrick County Education Foundation. First, I want to let you know the overall enrollment in Patrick and Henry Community College grew last year for the first time in 4 years and only the second time in 10 years. When we talk about enrollment, there are 2 buckets. There is, first of all, the academic enrollment. The traditional Pell eligible programs, think of things like nursing, teacher education, those traditional 2-year pathways, that grew by 4% over the previous year. And then we have what we think of as short-term workforce training programs. These are things that lead to quick certifications and then straight to the workforce. These are things like phlebotomy, HVAC, or CDL. Those programs grew by 45% over the previous year, and in fact ranks Patrick and Henry as the 5th largest growth sector in Virginia for workforce development training programs. You'll see the 2 bullets that I gave you there that speak to 2 national awards bookended at the beginning of the year and end of the year that speak to our workforce development focus. And I want to let you know that there were several new initiatives that were started, new programs that were started last year on our main campus, including a new CDL program. We opened the 2nd building of our $20 million Manufacturing, Engineering, and Technology Complex, which triples our welding capacity, and a new CNA pathway for dually enrolled students that want to go straight into the workforce. I'll pivot for just a moment and talk to you at greater length about the ways that we are better serving Patrick County. I have been employed with Patrick and Henry for 20 years, and I'm starting my third year as president. And when I took the position just over 2.5 years ago, I did so with a promise that I would make a concerted effort for our institution to better serve here within the county of Patrick, rather than asking students to always come to our main campus. So over the last 2 years, we have provided the following services. We opened the welding facility at Patrick County High School, which is a very innovative program. We went to the Tobacco Commission to request the funding for that program, and the Tobacco Commission denied it and said that they don't fund high schools, they only fund post-secondary. So the administration at Patrick County High School very willingly got creative and have allowed us to operate that facility at night as a traditional college class. So it's dual enrollment welding during the day, it's Patrick and Henry welding during the night, and the Tobacco Commission funded every penny of it, and I love it when they pay for it. We also opened the Gerald L. Beliles Richard S. Reynolds Senior Learning Center. It's a mouthful. We call it the Beliles and Reynolds Center, which provides mechatronics training, almost $200,000 in state-of-the-art equipment, and also has a workforce flex space for new employers or those current employers who may be seeking to expand their current operations. It allows us the opportunity, or them the opportunity, to drop in the equipment, and that we can train the employees while they are standing up a facility, so that the day their facility opens, we're able to give them their employees on the spot. We launched the Patrick County Fab Lab, which has been really well utilized over the last year. We announced just 3 months ago a $750,000 grant to create power line training here in Patrick County. In conjunction with Whitfield Community College, classes are starting this fall in power line training. Again, another program that leads to great credentials and significant high-wage demand jobs right here in Patrick County. We also announced the launch of a new automotive repair program at Patrick County High School. And again, I commend the administration for allowing us to do the same thing there that we're doing with welding. We'll have adult classes in the evening for those seeking those credentials. It is entirely possible for a resident in Patrick County now to complete their entire workforce or their entire academic credential without leaving Patrick County, should they wish to do so. On the back of your paper, I want to talk to you for just a moment about a critical initiative that is speaking to the workforce development needs of Patrick County. I have the great pleasure of also serving as the Executive Director, Volunteer Work for the Patrick County Education Foundation, PCEF. PCEF was founded 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, by former Governor Gerald Beliles as a way to increase the high school and GED attainment rates of the citizens of Patrick County. At the formation of PCEF, they set a 10-year goal that the high school graduation rates would be among the highest among rural counties. That goal was accomplished in 8 years, and the high school graduation rates for Patrick County remain some of the highest in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I've given you the data there as of 2022. On-time high school graduation rates for Virginia are 89%, and in Patrick County, 92%, which again puts that among the highest in the Commonwealth. However, post-high school credential attainment rates, and by that we mean certifications, credentials, degrees that lead to meaningful wage jobs, remain critically low in Patrick County. You can see the data there. As of 22, the national rate, 54%, Virginia's rate, 60%, and Patrick County's rate, 29%. Of the 133 municipalities in Virginia, Patrick County currently ranks 105th in terms of post-high school credential attainment rates. So Patrick County Education Foundation then pivoted. Since the goal had been accomplished for high school graduation, Patrick County Education has now pivoted and created a new goal that the post-high school credential attainment rates of the citizens of Patrick County will equal or surpass surrounding locales. That, as you well know, will increase the economic attractiveness and workforce potential of Patrick County. Patrick County Education Foundation has a single focus, and it is to fully fund the Patrick Promise. You're likely familiar with the Harvest Foundation's program called Harvest Seed that fully funds up to 2.5 years of post-high school education at Patrick and Henry for the citizens of Martinsville and Henry County. Patrick County Education Foundation has created the Patrick Promise that will do for Patrick County what Seed does for Henry County and Martinsville. We've given you the goals that we've set. Year 1, the goal would be $45,000. That has already been funded. That's been raised. Year 2 goals and Year 3 thereafter are provided for you. And I'll give you that final bullet there. 52% as of last year, it fluctuates annually, but as of last year, 52% of currently enrolled Patrick County students do attend Patrick and Henry Community College at a cost that is free to the family. Should we be successful in raising, let me rephrase, when we're successful in raising those dollars, we are confident that it will decrease or eliminate population outmigration from Patrick County and increase the economic mobility of the citizens of Patrick County, because as you probably know, educational attainment is tied to economic mobility now more than ever. I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, I hope this will be an annual update. I have about 697 pages I could have given you, but I gave you just a quick snapshot. The 2 documents that I gave you, the first one is our 2023 Fall Training Guide. These are not the academic programs. This is not the academic English, math, history classes. These are those short-term credential programs that students can take in weeks and give straight to employment. And then I also gave you a copy of our foundation report. You'll note that it is the 22-23 report with all foundations. The year ends in June 30th in academic world, and so they have to go through their audit, which has just been completed, and the new foundation program will be provided, and I'll come back next year if you'll allow me and provide you that.
Thank you.
What questions may I answer for you tonight?
I just have one question, Dr. Hodges. I toured I can't think the name of it.
Manufacturing Engineering Technology Complex.
In Danville. Right?
Oh, the Institute of Advanced Learning and Research.
Right, that's
yes,
it.
sir.
That's it. That place really blows my mind.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any kind of cooperative?
Yes, sir. I sit on the board for the Institute of Advanced Learning and Research.
Okay, great.
And we have several partnerships. We have several programs with the Institute that take students from the associate's degree, then transfers to the bachelor's, including in things like applied engineering, aeronautics technology. Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Dr. Hodges, I probably should know this, but I don't, so don't make fun of me until you leave.
Yes, sir.
The Patrick Promise, that's a cumulative total of 135, right? So 45 a year?
So, no, sir. That's a great question. So the first year would need $45,000. We've raised that. The second year would be the second year needs $90,000, which is 45 of the second year of the first cohort, and a new 45 for that first year of the second cohort. Are you with me? And then every year thereafter, because you will have 3 cohorts enrolled at any given time. So it's about 45, with current dollars, it's about $45,000 per cohort of students, but there would be 3 cohorts enrolled at any given time. Yes, sir. And so whenever you're ready to write a check, personally, otherwise, it would go to a wonderful cause here in Patrick County.
Greg, if you don't mind, there's one hand in the back. Mr. Malcolm Roach, I think you had a question.
I'd like to know if you work with our new economic development director to try and get new businesses to move into Patrick County, because now you're going to provide them with trained and skilled labor. Do you guys work together?
So I'll address that by saying that I was the second person that the previous economic development coordinator had lunch with, and I don't know who's taken you to lunch yet, but I'm going to be number 1 on your calendar. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What about training the individuals for the lady that was here earlier?
Yes, thank you. Great question. We have an associate's degree in human services, which then transfers to both Radford University, Old Dominion University, and folks can complete their bachelor's degree and their MSW, Masters of Social Work, without leaving Patrick County, should they wish to do so.
So that would be an incentive for our people these positions filled.
Well, and part of the problem that she was stating though was that they're getting the training, but they can go somewhere else because they make more money. So we need to be able to bring more money here to pay our people to keep them here.
Well, if they're getting this training through Patrick County at no cost to them,
Right.
you give them like a certification, they could sign saying, we could only work here in Patrick County for 2 years or something. Something like that.
I'll conclude, thank you, ma'am, thank you. I conclude my remarks by, you'll see at the top of the page, I have my card stapled there. That includes my business card. I'm always at your disposal. I doze, but I never close. So call me anytime, and I'm happy to take care of anything we can at Patrick and Henry Community College. It's our pleasure to serve you.
Thank you so much, Dr.
And the next speaker we got is Scott Straper with Brightspeed. Come to the podium. And I'll make a couple comments. You know, since we did this stuff in the paper, all the articles and everything else, Scott's been really good to respond to it, and the Pole Bridge thing, they got that fixed on a Saturday. All those wires hanging on that 911 sign and all that stuff. And I think some of the customers even got credits on the bills and stuff to help out there. But still, as you hear tonight, there's a lot of stuff in the county that still needs to be done. And so we'll let you respond, and we won't harass you with questions or anything, but if you leave a contact where the people can get in touch.
I'd be more than glad to. My name is Scott Strader. I'm the supervisor for Brightspeed from Martinsville and the Stewart area over to Patrick County, Henry County. And let me start by saying I've been with this since I was 17 years old. I started with the co-op, just like he says, in Rockingham Community College in Reidsville, North Carolina. So that's where I originally started with Bell South, and then AT&T, and then CenturyLink. So I've been doing it over half my life. So done it long time. And I'm just a country boy, just like everybody else is in this room right here. So it's dear to my heart that hearing lines laying on top of the ground and different things has been on the ground for so long. I'm here. I'm leaving my contact information with Mr. Kendrick. I will talk to anybody in this room here. I will be more than glad to help anybody here. Brightspeed is not CenturyLink. I can assure you that. They want to take care of their plant. They want to update their plant, and they have the money to do it. So we're looking forward to doing that. I'll be more than glad to help any way that I can. I'm going to leave my contact information, my email with anybody, any one of the board members, anybody out in the audience who'd like to talk to me. I'll be more than glad to stay and talk to each and every single one of you, because our customers matter to us at Brightspeed, and I'm going to prove that to each and every one of you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Just so other people in the room know also, would I be correct in saying that when Brightspeed took over, you took over a very bad mess and bad equipment and bad lines and stuff, and now you're trying to fix it?
That's an understatement.
Slowly but surely, I mean.
Absolutely. And I can't get it done overnight. But if you bear with me and give me the opportunity, I'm going to make it back where it needs to be. And that's my plan, and that's Brightspeed's goal. Absolutely. Thank you for the question. That's a great question. We inherited a lot, right, from CenturyLink and a lot of old mess. But we're going to fix it, and we're going to get it back where it needs to be. And riding around with Mr. Kendrick, he showed me a lot of stuff, and we took care of it that Wednesday. About that Saturday, we had that stuff in the ground on Saturday, and I was out there myself with them. So I've got some great workers. We've hired some good young workers. Now they're younger, and they're learning the processes also, so it takes a little bit longer. But we just took it over in October of last year, so we've done a lot more. Mr. Kendrick said we've done quite a bit since more in January than we've done probably 5 to 10 years. So that makes me feel good to hear that. So and bear with my guys, and each and every single one of them, they have my number. You let me know if there's anything that I can do for citizens here in Patrick County. I'll be more than glad for Brightspeed, because Brightspeed has a different look on things, a lot different than CenturyLink, and their customers are number one priority. And I'm here to speak on that and let everyone know that.
Well, I think a lot of the problem's been too, where the people can't talk to anybody to tell their problem.
Yep.
You know, we had to go through the newspaper, the Enterprise, and legislatures to get the attention to get this stuff done. And it's been where when you call a call center in some foreign country that you can't half understand, and they maybe put in an order to get your phone fixed, and they come out and patch it up, and then that's the end of it. There's no follow-up. So hopefully, didn't you tell me that they was hiring a lot of people to take the calls in the United States?
Right, our corporate office now is in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we, our corporate office is there, and we bring in, I think we hired right at 60 more people for a call center there. So we're bringing it back. That's our goal. You know, obviously the States is my goal too. But with having my cell phone number, Mr. Kendrick, you can't get no local than that. I can promise you. If you have a problem, you call and let me know. I'm
turn you on the list of names.
I got it right here. I keep it right there in my book here. So we got a list here, and also got Miss Allen, Mr. Clark. I'd like to talk to you guys before I leave today, for sure.
Could I say something, Clint? I'd appreciate very much if you would share with your corporate office, who I would assume everybody in Charlotte, North Carolina has self-service, the importance of landline service in this county, because so many do not have cell service, and I would hate for somebody to lose their life because they couldn't call 911.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
and I think a good point she's making, if you don't have the cell phone service, but you do have your internet, you can make a wireless call. Because mine, when the telephone goes out, the internet goes out.
Exactly, mine too. I'm
in a foreign country by myself.
I understand.
I think 2 carriers have a satellite thing where you can do a SOS and it will go satellite, where you may not have signal, but it will still hit a satellite. But that's not every carrier. So I know Brightspeed literally purchased a landfill, and it'd probably be cheaper just to yank it all out and start all over from scratch, instead of trying to patch stuff that's been in the ground since 1962, I would imagine. Is there any kind of maintenance schedule, or are you just reacting, or is there some kind of plan to redo
certain areas?
You're saying as far as the infrastructure, you're redoing
right?
What you probably add some fiber and different things, upgrading different stuff.
Do you have a plan for this, for updating the whole county, because it needs it?
Yeah.
Or are you just in the reaction mode where somebody?
Right now is the reaction mode. Right now is seeing what we have. Right. Okay. We just, like I said, we just took it in October. It's almost November of last year, so we hadn't been in a year yet. We've done a lot. And it's going to take a lot. But we're, like you say, we are in the reaction motion right now. But they're really, really pushing it. They're cutting. Our CEOs and our first level managers, they come down and visit the different areas and stuff, and they see and they know, just like we do. Like my boss and his boss, they are really, really tight community, and that makes me feel good. So when I started with Bell South, that was a real tight community too. I mean, it was just local. So that's what we want to bring it back to, is local, the local provider, and try to get sooner than later. That's what I really want to do. Push, because I can promise you my phone rings a lot too.
I'm sure it does. When you inherit a landfill, I don't even think the copper's good anymore. So.
But that's okay. That's what I'm here for. So that's what I want to be here. And if anybody would like to talk to me, and Mr. Kendrick, he'll have my number also too, and I would talk to anybody in the room. Give him a business card. You can have my number. I'll be more than glad to talk to you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, appreciate it, Scott.
Thank you.
Very, very much. Appreciate
Yes, sir.
your time coming up, talking. And anybody that wants to get in contact with him can talk to him tonight, or let me know. I've got his contact information. All right. Paperwork backwards. The next thing we had on the agenda was the grant in action. You want to talk about that, Mr. Hall?
Yes, sir. A couple of things from my report, and I'll start with that one. You have in front of you a copy of the proposed contract with Phil Studio for professional services related to possible revitalization of properties in Stewart, 407, 409 Patrick Avenue, 101 Commerce Street. This is completely paid for by a DHCD grant called the IRF grant. It's for $40,000. This will allow Hill to do some evaluation and studies and perhaps artist rendering some improvements that we would seek additional grant money for to complete. But the $40,000 covers their initial effort, and that is paid in total by the IRS grant from the Department of Housing and Community Development. It's a pretty standard contract, and we would need a motion to approve that contract, so we can share that with Hill Studio and they can begin work.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve it, the contract?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a motion?
I'll second.
A second? A vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye also.
I've got just a couple more things, Mr. Chairman, to update you guys on. Our transfer station will be closed August 24th, 25th, 26th. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday for repairs and installation of equipment, primarily related to the scales that we need to update. Never a good time to close a transfer station, but the work cannot be done safely or timely without closing down the transfer station completely. We do think that the work will be confined to just those 3 days, and we have every expectation of reopening on Monday, the 28th. And we have done a news release on that. I know there's been some coverage, but we will continue to reissue that going up right into the day of the first closure. And then secondly, our new website is up and running. It's the same URL, co.patrick.va.us, but it really looks nice. Lori and Donna did help with a lot of the work on that. They should be commended on that. A lot of different things on there. You can sign up for alerts. You can sign up for calendar updates, that sort of thing. So we urge people to go look at that. It's absolutely top-notch and frontline website coverage. That's all I have.
Could you possibly give that update you gave the ADA the other night about the broadband?
Oh, yes, sir. As you know, broadband cannot get here fast enough. We've had great reports from both AEP and River Street. We're working together on the vast part of Patrick County to get that done. They're both ordering equipment as we speak. They are hopeful to be under construction within 3 months. That will roll out east to west as they get to the poles that AEP is using, but it will not wait until the end of the project. As it's rolled out, its services will begin as the project moves on. There's a second sliver of Patrick County that's being served by Charter Communications because they had a presence there already. Patrick Cooper and I were on a call with them the other day. They are also moving forward. They have equipment. They're ready to go for that little sliver of Patrick County. So the fact that the SCC approved this relatively quickly when it was taken to them, and AEP and River Street and then Charter have all really worked well with us and with the SCC. I'm hopeful that we'll start to see much better coverage, hopefully sooner than later. But they have a contract to be complete, I think, within 48 months, but they are hopeful that it will be complete well before the 48-month time frame. So there is progress being made, and it looks good for getting something better than what we have right now.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Yeah.
Do we have any committee reports from the supervisors?
I haven't had any since our last meeting.
I've had, let's see, 3 emergency meetings with social services, which you can guess what they were about. And VACO is having a meeting this Thursday, which I'll be going to in Richmond. And I'll bring some of this, certainly some of this that she's talking about from social services to the committees.
We've got Tourism Advisory Council meeting this Thursday night at 6 p.m. at the college, and then Clayton and I have West Piedmont Planning District Commission meeting coming up as well. I'll report next meeting.
So I met with STEP. Of course, they're tickled to death with their new executive director. He's just absolutely amazing. He was a diamond that they ought to be. Luckily came across. So they're tickled to death with that. And then they're moving forward to fixing some things and improving within and setting up their annual retreat is in the works. Also, the 911 committee moving forward on getting the Surrey Tower up and running so we can have better communications with our fire rescue and law enforcement. Hopefully that'll actually physically start happening sooner rather than later, but hopeful. And then with the Planning Commission. So again, they're doing an absolutely wonderful, amazing job moving forward with the new comp plan, thank you. And also, there's a meeting tomorrow night, and some things will be discussed. Will be the cell tower. It'll be going up around the high school, and then also with the solar request. So they're very busy getting a lot of things accomplished.
And I've had several, but part of them was about social services that I can't speak about, and with Piedmont Planning in the executive committee meeting, like Denise said, we got another one next week. So that, and we had a good EDA meeting the other night with Patrick and Tim, and got a lot of updates in there, but most of the stuff there we can't talk about either. So a lot of good stuff looking up for the county though. Is that all we got? Closed session?
Closed session.
Okay. All right, we'll go into closed session, and if anybody wants, are you okay with talking with people out?
Absolutely.
Okay, y'all can contact Scott and give him information on any problems or anything.
We'll read Section 2.23711 of the Code of Virginia. I move we enter into closed meeting for the limited purpose of discussing the appointment of specific appointees to the Patrick and Henry Community College Economic Development Authority and Solid Waste Committee pursuant to subsection A1, consultation pertaining to actual litigation, where consultation or briefing in open meeting would be adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the board regarding criminal and discussion and consideration of the acquisition of real property. Nope, we took that off. So that's the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Got a motion? A second?
Aye.
Aye.
And aye.